come in here, and then we'll start. I have a couple of questions I want to ask you. Welcome to the live. Guard your privacy. Adapt. Okay, so let's see. Share. We're gonna share. All right. Start about two minutes. Let's see who comes on here.
Okay.
See, this is the kind of screen I want it for TikTok, but the only way that could happen, actually, if you go live, don't worry about the flies, man. You're on an interview now. You, you got to smile at the camera, man.
I got you, man.
Yeah,
Let's,
it's all good. All right, so we are live. It's a minute.
okay.
We gotta wait till somebody comes in here.
Okay.
Let me
Well,
get some more people. Oh, I gotta share with Swag. Forget about the fly, man. You're like me, OCD, man. See, I can't turn the channel the other way, right?
I got you.
Welcome to the live. Yeah, I'm in the live.
Oh, let me make sure the lights turn on.
Mhm.
How's that lighting? Better?
Yeah,
Leave it like that.
yep.
Thank you, sir.
How come I don't see no messages there? Did anybody come in? No, nobody came in yet, right?
Uh,
All right, let's start. Let's start a live. All right. Question one: what got you into collecting?
um, growing up in the '80s, watching Transformers, GI Joe, um, the Hanna Barbera cartoons, um, just Galaxy Rangers, Brave Star, He Man. It's a way of capturing that moment of coming home from school and sitting down and watching cartoons, and then that memory in plastic, if that makes sense. You know, I remember Hanna Barbera's the Super Friends and the Super Friends challenge. The figures that we have now, uh, they were smaller than what we have now. You squeeze. I remember I had the Flash. You squeeze his feet, and his arms would give like that running motion. So Kenner
Right, I
made them at
remember
the
that.
time.
Nice.
Yeah, Kenner. You had insectoids. You had inhumanoids. Um, you had robotics. And it was like it was a fun time, man. You had the BMX bikes. You had the Mr. T. I remember Mr. T had a doll. It wasn't as articulated in detail as a WWE figure would be because it was mostly dolls. Everything was like GI Joe. The GI Joe 12-inch dolls.
Yeah,
That's basically what was the action figures of my day. But then with Thundercats, LJN, and Galoob, Galoob made Insectoids. Galoob, really came out with the action figure, the 6 to 7 inch. So those Brave Star, I believe, was 8 inches. Um, you had Mattel. Mattel was the forefront with He-Man. There was a lot of gimmicks with He-Man, and all the figures had the basic body. They all had the basic model body, but the heads were different. And what you saw on TV kind of inspired you to go ahead and get those. I remember Street Sharks. I know Tiger Sharks, Snorks, Fraggle Rock. So all these things, it was. my way of, getting them, holding on to those memories. Remember what you're seeing, like the GI Joes. Seeing the Sopantor with the chariot, right? That was the thing to have. I don't know. When I was growing up, the Cobra Ill, that figure was so hard to come by. I remember in
It
school,
was actually,
people,
yeah, it was.
yeah,
It was
people would
ridiculous.
just
Yeah.
lose their minds, like to trade like a Snickers bar. And one of the, I remember my brother had one, and he got so many offers from the Secret War figures to candy bars. They'll throw in this with it, and then the age of computers, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and even with that, action figures were still they still held their value. Not like today, like
No,
as
don't get
far
me
as the
wrong.
yeah,
Today, actually, they're really more detailed and articulate. Yes, they are. But when
yes,
you look back from the nostalgia point of view, it brought back those memories as a child that you couldn't afford to buy, and you had to ask mom and dad, "Hey, Christmas time is around the corner. Can I please have the GI Joe? Can I please have the He-Man, Masters of the Universe?" And as a
yes,
child, that's what we live for. We live for the holidays and the birthdays and the whole 9 yards. But it's pretty cool,
yeah.
though. I mean, yeah.
You know, yeah, in the He-Man vehicles, the Land Shark had a string you could pull and it would ride. Even though I forgot the green motorcycle that He-Man had, it was like a dragon or an eagle. You pull it, it would slide. Even the GI Joe vehicles, the GI Joe vehicles. I remember if you had the Cobra Raven, that was like something amazing, right? Because it
Right.
was
Oh,
the actual.
whoever came in, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the interview of BAM Collectibles and Goybot, and they left. They come in and leave. That's the fourth person. Wait, I hope it's not on private. I put on public.
Yeah,
Will
they
you be
wouldn't
able to
even.
find? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off. Let's start over
yeah.
again.
So what I was saying is that we're talking about the Cobra Raven. It was the first time you saw a jet with a mini jet on top, and when you saw what you saw in the cartoon was that, hey, it was able to detach. In cartoon, in your imagination, the figures would walk around in the plane and be able to go to the other plane. But it was a time where action figures did not lose their values. And when I say value to the children, the kids at that time, um, I think it's different nowadays. As far as action figures are more for collectors. I think it's more collectors that support the action figure lines than actual kids.
All right. Question two, and I agree with you on that for sure. Okay. If you had a choice, if both cartoons were on Saturday afternoon when you were a kid, GI Joe or He Man, which one would you watch first?
Um, I would watch GI Joe first. And the reason for like GI Joe was just action packed because you had a certain grounded feel to GI Joe. If you looked at GI Joe, there was the story, and then there was the lesson at the end of the story, and then there was a other message like hey, if you see a live wire, don't touch it. Um, I don't know. It was with GI Joe. There was so many layers, right? The
Three
villains, right?
people came in and they left. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say GI Joe had a element to it where it kind of went into science fiction, the vehicles and the weapons, and then it was based on ordinary people, who had the courage to stand up against a force of evil who was trying to take over the world. Where He-Man was based in mystic and powers, but it was in another galaxy. You know,
Wow, that's great. Well, I kind of agree with you on that, but for some reason, when I was a kid, the first thing that hit me was He Man. I'm the most powerful man in the universe. I don't know, it did something to me. It just gave me that oomph. All right. Yeah,
real quick,
yeah,
Billy. You know, right before He-Man punches the screen and the star comes up,
yeah, yeah,
me
yeah.
and
But
my
he hits
brother
it.
would
Yeah,
just, yeah, me and my brother would like, "Nah," like teasing them to punch us, man. So yeah.
right.
Um,
All right. Question number three. What was your one toy that you always wanted to have, but you didn't have a chance to have it? Is there any specific toy? You probably have it now, but I'm saying that you wanted as a child that you
um,
couldn't.
Christ
Why is
Star.
people coming in and out? Is my channel okay? We're live, right?
Yeah,
I
we're
mean, I
live.
see two, three people come in, then they leave.
Yeah, we're live.
Hmm. But I see no demo.
Christ Star.
Good. Huh? Okay.
Christ Star. He was made of crystal. He had the Marvel comics. I actually had one, and what happened was I put him in the freezer, and he couldn't be more than 4 or 5 inches tall. And I used to like putting him in the freezer and having that frost on him. So one time I was throwing him up, and he hit the ground. And he just fell into parts, and I was like, ah! I screamed, and my older brother came. He's like, "What happened?" And it was in pieces. So
Right.
my brother took him and then he glued them back together. Um, it was the body that just came apart because there was no screws. It was just kind of like tabs that were stuck together back in the day. Not like GI Joe. GI Joes and Transformers actually had metal parts and stuff. The O ring inside, the screw,
Yeah.
and yeah.
All right. Now, my fourth question: your top five of childhood cartoons up to your adult. What would you rate GI Joe, He Man, Voltron, uh, uh, DC, Spider Man and Friends, or Transformers?
How would I rate them from 1 to 5? My top five,
Yeah.
right? I would say Transformers. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. You had to get up really, really early to catch it because it was on NBC in New York. So I would say Transformers, which was on Channel 11 WPIX. You had Transformers. You had GI Joe. What else you had? Um, Thundercats. Um, Then fast forward, you had Batman the animated series, and you had X-Men the animated series. Those would be my top five. I didn't catch all
Nice.
of the X-Men because I was off to doing better things when I
There you
graduated
go.
from high school.
Okay. Okay. Now, as an adult, is there any figure or grail that you would like to have that reminds you of your most innocent time as a child that would bring
Uh,
you back to that memory?
yeah, Thundercats. I would like the complete original line: Lion-O,
Lion.
Panthro, Shatora, Cheetah, Wily Cat, Snarf, and Thunder Tank.
Okay. Okay. Now, if you had a choice to pick DC animated series or X Men '97, Marvel, which one would you prefer to watch?
Um, I would say I would take DC. The DC animation have been some of the best movies I've seen, and some of the cartoons. Taking Batman the animated series, talk about Justice League, Flashpoint, um, the, Batman Under the Red Hood. Um, but now I would say with X-Men '97, that is definitely setting the tone. Um, of course, you got Invincible, which Invincible is mainly adult content, but I think X-Men '97 have found that sweet spot to address all audience.
Nice. Okay. What I was going to ask you next? What's your grail that you wish you had right now? If you had a grail piece, what would you call it? What line? Is it a DC? Is it a Marvel? Is your favorite superhero? What do you wish that you had right now if you had a chance
Um,
to get?
if I had the chance to get anything, I would say the milestone DC icon. Um, I've seen um my wife actually made me one, a custom one, but I forgot where Fig Realm, I want to say. I've seen somebody do a custom of icon and rocket, and it was immaculate, right? The material, and I don't know what, to this day, I don't know what material, what figure they used, but it looked like something that was done by a actual toy company.
Nice. Nice. Who was your favorite superhero of all time and why?
Who's my favorite? Who's my favorite superhero of all time? Um, I would say Icon, DC Milestone Icon. It's between Icon and Power Man, and it's so if you look at the comparison, Icon basically is an alien. His ship landed in the late 1800s during slavery. So the first humans he saw um, is what form he took. So a slave woman found him, a black woman found him. So that's what he took. And so even though he had powers, and he could have changed the tide for a lot of things, which was interesting the way he was written. He wanted to experience the human race society for himself, and even with that, he's not a he's like a conservative, he's like a Republican, but yet if you look at his views, you can look at, hey, he has great intentions. Why can't he be a Republican? If that makes sense, it's just it's away from the norm. What you would think is the norm, right? And here you have Luke Cage, who is a street level superhero, right? Grew up in New York City, right? He got paid to fight crime, heroes for hire, right? So it's just two different paths for two heroes who share something in common.
What sparked your interest to start collecting again at this point?
Well, I started three times. This is my actually my third time. The first time is when I was a kid. I had a tub, and I don't know if you remember Pan when they had Pan Am Airlines and Delta. They used to have these gray tubs where you would put your luggage in. Well, I had two of those, and it was just full. The bottom one was full of He-Man figures, and the second one was like my Captain Powers figures, my Starcom, my Insectoids, my Inhumanoids, right, and a couple of Thundercats. I kept the He-Man and GI Joe separated. The GI Joes, I had in a bag. Me and my brother had them in a bag. Um, so it was that was the first time, and then I left home, and then my brothers got a hold of them. They gave them away. They broke them, and then um, back in 2001, the He-Man figures came out, so I started collecting those again. And while collecting those, I started collecting a couple of the Marvel Legends, like the Hulk. I mean, not the Hulk, but the Thing. He had the bendy wire figure, the fingers. It was like articulated like bendy wire, and
Right.
that was from Toy Biz. So um, by 2006, well, 2009, I had lost that collection. And then I was like, you know what? I'm too far behind. Um, and then I started traveling overseas. and I started picking up figures, like SH Figure, seeing like different figures that they had, and then I remember overseas I saw my first Marvel Legend, um, and that's when I guess Hasbro took over the line, and I want to say it was it was what's his name, the Hydra dude, the green dude. It was in the original Hasbro pack, and so I had got that figure, and I was really impressed because it was different from the facial scope of the Toy Biz one, and so
Nice.
that got me back into it. And then plus GI Joe had come out with Sigma 6, the 8-inch figures, so I was really like nostalgic, and so that's what got me collecting again.
All right. So basically, we we went down the rundown of what made you tick, why you got into collecting, and what sparked the interest of your collection. Now I'm going to ask you a few more questions. Then we're going to have to end the live. But it was a great time. I got to know you a little more, and I have a more understanding of Goiba, the collector, as the individual. So my question is to you: pick a number one Marvel character who you would like to see fight against your number one DC character of superheroes. Who would you like to see square off if they ever squared off in the center of the ring?
I would
What's your all
like to.
time you wanted to see? Who will win?
I would like to see Sentry versus Icon. Marvel's Sentry versus Icon.
And that's your favorite main event that you would like to see, right?
That's my main event I would like to see.
Top three. Who's the strongest superheroes or from Marvel or DC? Name your top three.
Uh, Blue
Villains
Marvel.
or heroes, don't matter.
Okay, Blue Marvel. Um, Black Adam and Invincible. I know Invincible is not really Marvel or DC, it's Image, but those would be my top three.
It is what it is. Thanks for your time, Goybot. It was fun. I got to get to know you. I hope everybody else heard the ticket of Goybot and why you got into collecting. But until then, just keep hunting, man. Happy hunting, and I'll see you around. And until then, happy hunting. Hey, what's up, action figures? Wait. Yo, I'm glad I saw this in time. Yeah, it's all good, man. We're not done yet. Then I'm going to ask him a couple more questions. Thanks for showing up. So we can run by the crowd that just came in. What inspired you to go back to collecting?
Just the evolution of action figures. You know, when you play with like well, when you collect the Toy Biz figures, that is it. That's the only people that are making them. And at that time, you could be like, oh, okay, these figures are dope. But then you realize like today's figures, right? You see like the articulation, you see like the head sculpt and the accessories, the cloth cape. I believe it's the evolution of
It is
collecting
the
for me.
evolution. I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. Now,
because
action
remember
figures,
we went from plastic capes to cloth good capes now, and with cloth good capes, it only used to be on what high end
a
figures.
plastic height. Yeah, exactly. Hey, action figures. Do you have a question if a guy about what got him into collecting and who's his favorite superhero and why? Does anybody have any questions out there? We're waiting for us text.
Got you.
Yeah, it is a time difference because I believe you're in the Midwest, right? All right, so I'm going to ask you for everybody else. Your favorite superhero of all time, you recap. What was it again?
Icon, Luke Cage.
Okay. And your favorite Marvel. superhero, villain, or hero?
Luke Cage.
Yeah, we mess with comic books. I used to collect it a lot.
Yeah. I actually I got into comic books because of my brother. Um, and it's funny because Marvel used to make the comic books for GI Joe, and then from GI Joe came Fantastic Four, X Men, Hero, Power Man, and Luke Cage. I mean, no, Power Man and Iron Fist, Namor. Uh, Marvel Universe used to be a book that showed you all the origins of superheroes, and for DC, it was Who's Who. So there's DC characters that I know of because of my brother introducing me to comics, like Blue Devil, um, Ambush, Creeper, um, Bloodwine. Like so, all these obscure characters I know about because my brother would just introduce me to like just a litany of comics, like Doctor Midnight and Hour Man, Infinity Inc., um, Crisis on Infinite Earths was the craziest thing that me and my brother read. And I remember when he bought the comic, the Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Return. That was just like mind blowing at that time, because it was almost like the Batman, the story I was reading was jumping off the pages because it was a gritty Batman. It was a Batman I've never seen before.
It, good stuff, action figures. Yep, yep. I can't wait either. But my favorite comic book of all time was Hulk 181. The first appearance of Wolverine. It was one of my actually top five. I also like I also like the first appearance of Rogue. I really got intrigued by that book actually. It's actually the first two books that I enjoy reading through. And what's your favorite
Well,
one action figure? What's
action
your
figure,
favorite
action.
comic of all time?
He had a question before that. It
Oh,
says, any upcoming summer y'all
headed out
headed
to.
to? Yeah, any events this summer you're heading out? I'm flying out to.
Well, I
Going.
wanted to
I'm
go
heading to
back to
fly.
New York.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to New York to Comic Con in Javits Center, and I'm gonna try to go to the one in 2 weeks from now in Detroit. It's gonna be the Motor City Comic Con. It's in about 2 weeks. I think it's the 18th. I'm not sure. And where you're up to, action. And where you want to head out to?
Uh, he said he's down to fly out. Yeah.
Well,
I
what
think.
I want to do actually, I told Goitbot that I was gonna drive down to him. I want to go meet. Let's see, the first run up of Luke Cage or Black Panther. Nice one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. No, you don't have to be sorry. Hey, they're actually cool. I mean, if you love it, man, that's what counts. It's all about what you like and what you like to read. But that's badass comics, man.
Yeah. So the first time I saw Black Panther, I believe it was Fantastic Four, and then before I saw his solo comics, he did a lot of appearance with the Avengers.
And one of my favorites is the first appearance of Silver Surfer. Is the only is the only Fantastic Four book I like. The first appearance of Silver Surfer was one. It was one of my faves. Okay.
Luke Cage.
Um. Now, action figures. Do you have any other questions for Goybot? What's his ultimate goal? What's his ultimate grail? What's his end game of how he wants to build his collection? Or should I say a beginning game? Because there's never an end game and when it comes to collecting, right?
Yeah. So I love Alpha Flight.
That's
And
nice.
I'll tell you a little about Alpha Flight. So Alpha Flight is a Canadian based a team of Canadians that are based out of Canada. Actually has ties to Wolverine.
That's
Um,
all good. Stay figures. It's all good. We're enjoying it, man. because I'm gonna make it for like an hour. It's not a half hour, but you're welcome to stay, man, because it builds up my channel anyway. It's all good.
We're talking about Alpha Flight, right?
Alpha Flight,
Um,
yeah.
yes, sir. So Alpha Flight, you had Vindicator, Guardian. Um, Guardian passed away. His wife Vindicator took over. You got Puck, and check me if I'm wrong. Action figure. You got Puck. You got Vindicator. You got Sasquatch. You've got North Star, South Star. I don't think I'm missing anybody. I think that's Alpha Flight right there.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, I think you got the whole crew. I think you got the whole crew.
Yep.
Yeah, he said cool. All right, so what I wanted to say, the last questions I want to ask you, Gort, about what's your overall goal when it comes to collecting? What's like your grand scope of things? What do you want to accomplish to say, you know what, I've done what I set out to do?
Just have a diverse representation of all the comics that I have read. I know comic book characters and action figures are based on, or sometimes WWE, real people, but it's what they stand for. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the stories jumping out of the pages, and to have like that in the man cave, and it's kind of tranquil. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not only driven by memory, but it's a visual stimulation. Like, hey, I'm looking at these, you know what I'm saying? I remember this story, or I remember when this was back in 1985, and it was unheard of that this character had an action figure, or anybody really knew about this character, unless you read comic books.
A good answer. A good answer. Hey, action figure, you have any other questions to ask him before I end this live? Anything you want? Ask him anything you want. And I appreciate you coming and support my channel, man, because I'm trying to build up a YouTube channel. That's the number one thing. This is the channel. This is the place I want to be eventually.
You know what? Did you give him the YouTube channel there, Billy?
Oh, your YouTube channel?
No, your YouTube channel.
Well, he knows my YouTube channel actually because I think if we subscribe to each other. It's at Billy Milanovic. That's all
Yeah,
you got to
just in
know.
case anybody
Yeah.
stopping through.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure. But then again, on TikTok, if they go to my main page, there's a button there they could click on and see all my videos, my shorts, my toy hunting. Hey, action figures. I actually went to Goodwill today. I'm sure you saw the post on TikTok. And for $9.99, I got myself the Lost Kingdom Aquaman. It's badass. It's hard with the struggle, man. But you know what? With YouTube, I'm learning as I go. The thing I like about YouTube is that they don't ban you that easy, so long you stay with the guidelines. If you do make a video live, it's going to actually question is it for kids or not. So you're allowed to cuss. If it cuss, if the people come on your live, they cuss, they do something like that, it's not going to be a problem. If they're not funny style like TikTok, and they're not petty like TikTok. But at the end of the day, TikTok's a lot easier to have lives and have people come in and out. But on YouTube, it's a more of a better algorithm. You got to know your hashtags. You got to put two hashtags in the title. You got to describe your channel. You got to hashtag the shit out of it. Okay? And you're allowed to curse on here. So you don't worry about it because it's not for kids. Okay. Are you subscribed to me? Yeah, you are subscribed to me, right? You saw my videos on here. You like my
Thank,
videos,
thank you,
man.
action figure.
I think you subscribed on me, right?
You me, I'm subscribed to you.
No, I'm saying action figures. I think you subscribed
Oh,
to me. Yeah, I got about 260 subscribers now. So I just started. We'll see what happens. But listen, anybody else who's in here, if they want to know, it's Goybot 718. He's a funny dude. He's a great content creator, and he will make you smile, and he'll make you go to the stores and buy the figures after he speaks about it. So go get your favorite plastic or die cast and rip some cardboard up. And until then, guys, I appreciate my channel, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
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 In the Middle East.